skip a couple of the static analysis tests or tasks. We're on 6-1. Analyze Lab 6.1 exe. What is the major code construct found in the only subroutine called by main? That's number 1. Number 2, what is the subroutine located at 401.05f? And number 3, what is the purpose of the program? So in order to see any of the imports, I'm going to go into Dependency Walker. And when inet sort of function name. When inet is a higher level internet DLL, higher than WS2 dash, I forget what it's called. When inet is just another way to communicate with the internet via HTTP, and it only uses one function. Okay, kernel DLL. Let's see what we got here. Gets process information. Allocates information on the stack, or allocates memory on the stack. Could write a file. I don't know what that indicates. Possible process injection. Alright, see if hacking. This goes pretty quick, so I'll do it. So this indicates there is no packing. Run strings. Excuse me. CD desktop. Strings. Lab 06-01.exe. So we've got some error messages and a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense at the top as usual. No internet. So maybe trying to connect to the internet. Okay, what's next? I'm going to skip down to running it. Stop this. By the way, I've been through this already, as usual, because if I didn't, it would take me much longer and you would get very bored quickly. Like much quicker than you do now, probably, of the video. So I've found that I didn't see much, I don't believe, in Process Monitor that helped. Or Red Shot. So I'm going to skip that. Now we come down to, let's see, I didn't see anything in Process Explorer 2. Let me look at APaint DNS. No, nothing new. These are the usual that come up. System trying to do updates for other reasons. Okay. What is the major code construct? So we have to jump into IDA Pro really to answer these questions. So this one I understood before reading the answer. What happens is it calls the subroutine, which in here checks if the internet is connected. And that's in that WinInet DLL that we saw, that library. So it compares the result. The result always comes back from EAX to 0. And if it is J jump 0, then it will, the green means the condition has been met. We come down, error, no internet. But if it's not 0, the condition has not been met. We come down here, successful connection. And then it exits the routine. Okay. What is the subroutine located at? 5F. Okay, it turns out, this is one I did not know, that this is printf. Frequently IDA Pro will not convert and will not determine printf successfully and label it right. Printf is a C command if you don't know. And it prints to standard output, which would be the screen. We didn't have any window open, so I don't know where the message would go. And that's one thing that is a little bit misleading with the program, but I mean, from the point of understanding, they wanted to break this program down, so they took chunks out of it, and they probably took a window out of it, maybe, or I don't know where the message intends to go. But as we'll see in the future examples, Lab 2, 3, and 4, those are extensions of this program. This is only a small piece of the main program. In fact, even number 4, which is the biggest program of the example they use, is probably not everything. So, what is the purpose of the program? Check the internet, see if there's a connection. And go back to 6. And the answers. Detailed analysis warns don't go down rabbit holes of irrelevant code, such as in printf, lab 6-2, analyze malware, and lab 6-2 exe. A couple things, I'll just minimize this and go through what we did with 6.1. So did I stop this? I don't know if I did. Yeah, I did stop it. Actually, I can reset very easily with this, which is VMware Workstation. It's a paid upgrade to VMware Player, and this lets you go back to a point in time. Now, I'm going to open Dependency Walker. Let me jump to PEID to see if we have hacking, which doesn't look like we do, and Resource Hacker. These are quick ones to go through. Nothing shows. Alright, so now we'll open 6.2. Okay, we have WinInet still in here, but I see some more stuff down. More functions or imports. Now here, I'm not sure if there's anything new. Let's see. don't think I saw that on 6.1. Let me redo that and start. Well, the idea is to start procmod. Suffice it to say that I didn't find anything. Oh, success internet connection. So it went slower, maybe because procmod is eating up all kinds of system resources. Because this uses a huge amount of memory. But it's cool that we saw that message. I didn't see anything useful in this process monitor. Plus, I don't think it updates any registry items. Okay, the questions for Lab 6.2. What operation does the first subroutine called by main perform? So, I'm going to open IDA Pro. Okay, we're in main. Now I'm going to hit spacebar to go back. Okay, this call right here. Is that the one they're talking about? This isn't the one they're talking about. Let me go back. Back button instead of spacebar. What operation does the first subroutine called by main perform? I was assuming it would be something different than what happened in the first program. That's incorrect. It does what the first program does. It checks the connection state and then does a printf. So it's that if statement we saw. Okay, what is the subroutine located at 40117F? Okay, I'm going to hit G, jump. 417F. Oh, G, 40117F. Oh, this is the one that's the same. It's printf. Oh, and by the way, this is a very nifty thing we can do. Rename printf. It renames it everywhere it's called to, which is right there. I think maybe called elsewhere, but okay. Number 3. Skipping some. The second routine. What does the second subroutine called by main do? Okay. This is interesting. It opens an internet connection, HTTP, that's using that WinInet function. And then to this address. Oh, and this is the agent. We go there. Open cc.htm. Hit back button. Okay, so the status of the open is returned in EAX as usual, which is return value functions, and then compares to 0. If it's not 0, then it skips this error message. If it is 0, it says failed to open, and then exits the routine. So it's reading the internet file. The key here, after reading the answer, is that we have the buffer that's first character of the buffer, we're looking for that. And for each of these, I'm redefining how they look. Okay, so we have less than, exclamation point, dash, dash. So it's comparing the 0th byte to less than. And if it is equal, which means jump 0, it would have been, then it would come down here. If it's not equal, it jumps all the way down here. Error failed to get command. So then it checks the second byte. Let's just go back to normal. This would be first, this would be second, exclamation point, minus, minus. So it's checking all these. That's what the first bytes have to be. Go back to the stack. This is where it gets tricky. But the fact is that var20c is the next character. This apparently is 4 characters, which are these 4. Let's see, it's DEF. Yeah. So between here and here, these two addresses, 210 minus 20c in hexadecimal is the 4 characters. Then we got a 1 character here, which is moved into AL. And then we jump down to this location. The subroutine uses a character array filled with data from the call to internet read file. The array is compared 1 byte at a time. So the construct is an array of characters. Alright, number 5. Are there any network-based indicators? Well, this, let me see now, I was going to say what's in the file could be in an indicator, but that's in a lot of files. This right here is a host-based indicator. And this right here, the agent string and the URL. That's the answer. 6. What is the purpose of the malware? Check the internet connection. If it is open, read a file. Check to see if the characters are equal to greater than exclamation point dash dash. If they are, then read the next character. If it's non-zero, then print that a command has been successfully parsed. Success. Parsed command is, and then show it. Lab 6-3. Examine lab 6-3.exe. What I'm going to do is just look in IDA Pro because this program is essentially the same. There's a little more code than the other two, 6.1 and 6.2, but it does basically the same thing. And number 1, compare the calls in main to lab 6-2's main method. What is the new function called from main? Okay, so what I did was I wanted a text pad, and I thought maybe I could do a file compare, but because the addresses are the same, I could not do a file compare. It considers every line different. However, it's still useful in TextPad. You can bring up 2 files next to each other and use, you can lock the scroll bars. Let me see how I do that. It's one of these options in TextPad. synchronized scrolling under configure. So it's easy to look back and forth and see what's different. Now obviously the addresses of the locations are different because the addresses are off. But as we go down, we can see this is where it starts to get different. Right about, okay, this is the new file number 3, and this is the old file number 2. So in this one, it calls the subroutine, the printf subroutine, and then in the old one it just goes ahead and sleeps, but in the new one it calls this procedure sub 401130. Now it says, this question number 2, what parameters does this new function take? Well, after looking through for several minutes, I realized that the parameters it's taking, we look back to the push statements to the stack. Okay, this is argument V, so it's after the call to the printf. This is where all the prep starts for the call to the new procedure. It's expecting 2 new parameters, and that's why it adds a, because there's four for each of those 2 parameters. There's 4 bytes. So what we have here is argument V is the first argument to go onto the stack. Push the address of argument V into EDX, and then push what's pointed to by EDX into EAX, which so happens to be LP existing file name. So the second parameter to go on the stack is var underscore 8. Well, if we look back to see where var underscore 8 was set, it appears, let me think here, there's that call procedure right here. Okay, this is key. Right after it goes into 401040, which is the parsing of the file, opening the internet connection, getting that one file, and reading the command. The command is set in 401040, and the command and AL is set to the command, which is a number anywhere from 0 to, I believe, 4. So if we go in IDA Pro and look at that, where is it? Make sure this is 3. Right there. If you scroll down, well, it's the next procedure, I do believe. So we have to go down a little further. This call. And what we're looking for is what sets AL in here. Well, this right here is basically moving var 20C, which is the 5th character of the buffer, to AL, and then it exits. Basically, that's what this is doing. What major code construct does this function contain? Well, if I hit spacebar, I can see the graphical view of the function, and in it, down here, well, this is key right here, because this is what this is doing is it's taking that command, which can be anywhere from 0 to 4, it's putting in EDX. So then there's a jump to an offset address. So we multiply the command, which would be like 0 times 4 would be 0, and it'd go right to there, the first command. Actually, 0 I don't think is a valid command. I think 1 through 4, it would be an offset. But there's an offset table. It doesn't show in the graph mode. This would be 1. We go to the offset, and then we add the command times 4, and go down that many bytes to get to the procedure in this table we need to. Okay, that's a switch. Lab 6-3, number 4. What can this function do? Well, we can do everything we see down here in this switch, which is create a directory, copy a file, delete a file, sleep. But there was another thing that it could do. And this right here. Sets a value in a key. The value of the key called malware. Okay, number 5. Are there any host-based indicators for this malware? So if we look, this seems like it might be. This key value would be. This file name would be cc.exe. What is the purpose of this malware? Check the internet for that file, get a command, and then execute the command. And then, in addition, I do believe that after the command is executed, it will exit. It may sleep before it exits. Back again. Names, main. It sleeps and then it exits. Sleeps for 1 minute. 6.4. Number 1. What is the difference between the calls made from main method in labs 6.3 and 6.4? So what I did was, similar to 6.3, I went into TextPad and I put these side by side. So on the right is 6.3, the main function for 6.3, and on the left is the main function for 6.4. So side by side, what we notice right away is, going line by line, that var c is a new variable here. Okay, so let's see what else we got. Let me move this just diverse this. Well, I don't know if I can change that. Okay, so we have the call to 401,000, and then in this location, in the old version, 6.3, we have, let's see, a call to sub 401040. I'm trying to figure out where the related call is in the other program. But if we go further down, we see call to 401. Okay, here, and 401.271, and then 401.130. So over here we have, there's more code. There's quite a bit, I would say. but it's hard to know based on these comparisons because these locations and the functions are different. So let me go one by one and remove extraneous code. Maybe that'll help too. And also another thing we could do is get rid of everything but the var_c. So on this side, it moves 0 to var_c, and then it jumps down to here. On this side, there's none of that hopping around. It does this call. Now here it's doing a compare. Let me go into that number. This is lab 6.4. It jumps down to here. Oh, this is what I wanted to see. Compare var_c to whatever, 1440. Jump greater than or equal to. If var_c is greater than or equal to 1440, go to loc 4012AF, which is down here and is essentially exiting. Otherwise, we call the procedure, which is getting the file. Now let's go over. It's the procedure in the other file is the same thing. Well, this call does that also. So this looks like a loop. That's what this is. Starting at 0, and then it's going to loop 1440 times. And it's going to go all the way down to 401251. It's going to sleep for this long and then jump back to this 251 right here. Add 1 to, well, these 3 statements basically add 1 to var_c, and then we check var_c again if it's 1440, then we exit. Okay, so we have the loop. It's possible that everything else is the same. What else do we have here? That would be the same with this call. But then, so we have AL, which is the command on there. Oh, AL comes up from on this side, comes from over here, this AL. So actually, this call lines up with this call. Okay, and then the same jump type things. And down here, this lines up. And then there's a call to, well, this is the processing of the command, I do believe. Well, no. This is printf. That's what this is. Okay, so then we go further down. Okay, this LP existing lines up here. This lines up with here. This lines up with here. And I think that sleeps for 1 minute. So everything's the same, except the new program loops 1440 times through commands. Now let's go through the questions, because that's the answer to some of these. 2. What new code construct has been added to main? A for loop. 3. What is the difference between the lab's parse HTML function and those of previous labs? Oh, I guess I missed something. Parse function. There's a parameter being passed in here. No, that opens the internet. The read file. I have to read the answer to that one. 64-3. The function now takes a parameter and calls sprintf with the format string such and such %d. It builds a user agent for HTTP communication. Okay, so I think what they're getting at is user agent string. This right here. That %d. Okay, here's what I don't get. The relationship between SV agent and A Internet Explorer. I don't fully understand, but okay. I can't waste forever on it. It's something that I have to just keep moving on. How long will this program run? So if the loop is 1440 and that's 1440 minutes, then let's do a little math here. Accessory calculator. 1440 divided by 60 equals 24 hours. Alright. Are there any new network-based indicators for this malware? There can be a regular expression set where you have Internet Explorer 7.50 PMA, and then some sort of string at the end of it. I don't know what, a variable, I guess. Now let's see what the answer is. Yes, a new user agent is used. It takes the form Internet Explorer 750/PMA %D, where %D is the number of minutes the program is running. Okay, that's what I didn't understand. That argument is the number of minutes the program is running. If I hit back and see this call, oh, it pushes bar C. Oh, that's what it is. Pushes bar C, which is the number of minutes it's been running onto the stack. And then that's argument 0 goes to here. And I guess somewhere it gets used. I don't get the relationship between SV agent and that offset, how it's connected. Okay, what is the purpose of this malware? So the purpose is to check the internet for a connection. If you get one, then go get that file, parse the command, and do this 1440 times. Run the command. That is it.